Hello everyone, I'm Michael Williams with CBS 4.
And I'm Ron McGill from Zoo Miami.
And I'm Nirvana Sukdale from Herbert A. Ammons Middle School.
And behind us, Old Faithful at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming.
And we're here as the result of a South Florida Eco Hero contest sponsored by CBS 4 and Zoo Miami. And that South Florida Eco Hero is Nirvana.
So come on along from Grand Teton to Yellowstone to Glacier National Parks for an adventure we call Dreams of the American West. There is not much that can dwarf the scale of the Rocky Mountains that form the spine and the soul of the American West. Not much, that is, except the endless expanse of time. The rumble of the planet far beneath our feet, the rush of wind and water, all of it unfolding along a geologic sweep of time that is beyond our human imagination.
The first few days of this spectacular expedition was mind-blowing. The enormous Grand Teton Mountains, the spectacular bodies of water, and the picture-perfect glacier snow-capped mountains simply made the start of this adventure unbeatable.
Across the millennia, massive earthquakes shook and shaped this land. Aboriginal Americans watched as glaciers more than a half-mile thick began their last retreat here 12,000 years ago. Land and life blending in nature's perfect harmony. Your first Wyoming sunrise, what do you think?
It's beautiful. It's even better than I expected.
You gotta be up before the sun because most activity is gonna happen right at sunrise and right at sunset. And plus, the camera can't translate the smell. The smell of this place is just fantastic.
It's just like a picture, but it's in real life. And without this, then there's no place like to come up here and to really look back on the beauty of natural environment.
14-year-old Nirvana Sukdale made fast friends with our main guide, Heather Harrison.
And imagine this all covered with snow.
Wow, even
in the
better.
wintertime. I mean, it's like giant ice cream cone.
Wonderland, winter wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
She earned her adventure in Wonderland after the butterfly garden she created at Herbert Ammons Middle School back home in Southwest Miami-Dade won her Eco Hero honors in a contest among South Florida public middle schoolers.
I told them what kind of flowers to plant that would attract the butterflies. Mm-hmm. And then we created a pathway with stepping stones.
Lots of nature lovers, like Nirvana, have made their way to Grand Teton National Park since it opened in 1929. Few fit the image of the raw-boned Westerner better than raft guide Wayne Johnson, even though he's a native of the Gulf Coast.
You know, I came out here hitchhiking to Alaska in 1965. And I finally made it to Alaska last year.
It feels so clear and so calm rather than Miami, the bustling gas and everything.
In Grand Teton, herds of elk catch your eye one second and later moose fording streams and relaxing on the shaded bank.
That was a picture you can just snap and put it right above your bed and be like, oh, I went there, and that's what I saw.
Shoshone Indians once roamed this land and then gave way under the relentless push of white settlers moving west in the 19th century. Those roots and the search for security and prosperity beginning in the 1800s upset nature's intricate balance. Wolves, for example, were hunted to near extinction by ranchers and farmers. Then, as our guide reminded us, eco-conservation took hold decades ago and wolf packs were put back on the land, tipping nature's scales yet again.
I remember a time when we used to expect to see maybe 1 to 3 moose per trip. And now we sometimes feel fortunate to see 1 to 3 per week.
Man and nature, always a delicate pairing, but one that has bred many success stories here for once endangered wildlife.
40 years ago, when I started floating, we had 2 nesting pairs of bald eagles on a 25-mile stretch of river. We now have 7 nesting pairs on this same 25-mile stretch. But if I had to name one animal that I expect to see on every trip, it would be the bald eagle.
Johnson's guarantee left no room for doubt, and a half hour later, we spotted our first mature bald eagle with the familiar white head feathers, and then a juvenile eagle on the riverbank.
Yeah, that's the young bird right there.
Oh, I've only seen them on TV and in pictures.
Majestic sights along the Snake River, and Johnson figured a city girl ought to have her chance to navigate while we took in the view.
Which way do I go?
Yeah, when you push that way, then push down, take it out of the
water.
water.
I don't know where it's going. It has its mind of its own.
Okay, let's go this way. Now, push with both of them. Push that way. Push real hard. Let me get in the middle here. That wind's pushed her right over on the side here. This is an easy job when the wind doesn't blow.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Oh. No. You know, I need like 5 more hands for this.
Special moments in a special place that seems endless, but is not. The wildlife and the water that feeds that life, all of it a dwindling resource.
Water is one of the most valuable commodities in the West. If you have water, you can obtain gold. You can have gold and not be able to obtain water.
Conservation is the watchword in our national parks, the treasures that all of us own because of the foresight of generations past.
Because all of this belongs to us, you have every right to be here whenever you want. And no one can tell you to leave.
Grand Teton National Park reminds us of what the great American naturalist John Muir wrote: keep close to nature's heart and break clear away once in a while and climb a mountain or spend a week in the woods. Wash your spirit clean. Stay with us. A trip to Yellowstone National Park is next as Dreams of the American West continues. Yellowstone National Park, where the land has a life of its own. You see it breathe, and imagine you can almost feel a pulse. This is a place of constant renewal, painted in living color. Yellowstone opened in 1872, becoming the world's first national park. Sprawling across northwestern Wyoming, it is bigger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. And the signature attraction is, as always, Old Faithful.
It's just like a huge cloud.
Sometimes there just aren't words, right?
It's speechless. I didn't think it would be like this at all.
Roughly every hour to hour and a half, Old Faithful puts on its famous show for visitors like our eco-hero, Nirvana Sukdeo. A famous show, but not necessarily the biggest in this huge geyser field. A few hundred yards away from Old Faithful, Beehive Geyser might claim that distinction. It does not erupt on a predictable schedule, but we got lucky and arrived minutes before it woke up.
You've heard about it, you've seen it on TV, you've seen pictures, but when you're actually here, it's a whole different experience. It's a whole different feeling.
It is a feast for the eyes, but not the nose. Every geyser and mud pot here is spitting up a smelly brew. Park guide Carrie Pavlovsky is used to it.
One of the cool things is all those bubbles, it's not boiling once again, it's just sulfur, that's all sulfur. So as we walk around this way, if the wind isn't too strong, you'll probably smell it. Like this is one place where you smell that really strong rotten egg, just smell. It's great.
Mud pots and hot springs and geysers. More than 300 active geysers in Yellowstone, more here in fact than anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone is an active volcano, and much of it sits in a caldera or basin formed when this place last blew its top some 640,000 years ago. Someday it will do so again in the far distant future, experts say. Geyser eruptions now foretell that far distant day. Some of those blues and oranges you see are bacteria that thrive in the heat and toxic bath.
And if the water looks like it's boiling, it's not. It's actually bacteria that's producing oxygen. They eat those nasty chemicals, and then they produce oxygen.
This is the Grand Prismatic Spring, named for its color. It is the third largest hot spring in the world, and Nirvana earned her panoramic view the hard way.
Stick to the right. Now, hold on, this is the steep part. Just good. Balance yourself up. You want a little sip of water?
You glad you made it to the
Oh
top?
yeah, this is beautiful. It was definitely worth it.
Only the Eagles have a better view. The Eagles, or perhaps Zoo Miami's Ron MAGILL. He brings a high-powered lens and a lifelong passion for nature everywhere he goes. At Yellowstone, at Grand Teton, and at Glacier National Park.
Waiting for the click. Come on.
Oh, yes, you did it!
Yeah.
That's the shot! Look at that! And you know
I
what's
got
great
it.
about that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's great about photography.
That's so great.
That's 1/250th of a second.
Ooh.
That will last you a lifetime.
And you know what you did.
Time stops for no one, but Ron never stops trying until the last ray of sun, and before the first sign of dawn at Yellowstone one morning, he's at work.
1,000. I mean, it's a timeless, frozen moment in time that you really feel that you're part of something so much larger in life. Listen to the geese. This is magic. Cranes, sandhill cranes. All these people who sleep in, they come out to a place like this and they stay in their hotel lodge and they wake up at 9 o'clock, they have breakfast and then they come out. They've missed it all. This is it. This is the birth. This is good morning to the world, and you can't miss this.
We didn't have to worry about missing anything with Ron setting the pre-dawn pace. Lucky for us. We began one day at Yellowstone with this bear sighting, a grizzly mom and her 3 cubs.
3 cubs in and of itself is pretty rare. Usually it's around, they have 2. What we're waiting for now is we're waiting for a little more light. Light in photography is everything.
An estimated 600 grizzly bears roam the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. They are at the top of the food chain, but reliant on that chain's strength, top to bottom.
They've reintroduced the wolves here. It's actually helped out the grizzlies because wolves will come in here, they'll make kills, they'll leave kills, grizzlies will come and take them right away.
Grizzlies and elk, like this majestic male, live here. And black bear roam the park. Osprey make their home on its soaring peaks. Life big and small, living in a park where fire burned 1/3 of the acreage in 1988, only to endure and survive. And nothing is more symbolic of that survival than the American buffalo running wild in Yellowstone, the American Serengeti, as it is sometimes called.
The bison are the symbol, I think, not just of Yellowstone, but really of the American West. When you think of the wild American West, when these animals roam, hundreds of miles across great valleys and really were the core, the lifeblood of so many of the Native Americans that basically revolved around their existence.
The Indians fell or were pushed out of their native homes under the relentless wave of white settlers moving west, and the buffalo herds that once roamed here by the millions were decimated. Today, about 3,000 buffalo live in Yellowstone, managed and protected for Nirvana's generation and all those to come.
Just being here and seeing what America's natural treasure has to offer is a great way to really think about, what's important in life and what's not.
It is a sentiment a lot of people share. More than 3 million of them last year alone visited this place where the buffalo roam.
For the people who say, you shouldn't go into parks at all, you're disturbing the animals. You know what? In a perfect world, that might be acceptable. We don't live in a perfect world. We have to make concessions. We have to allow people to experience this, touch this in some small way to inspire them. That is going to be what saves this.
Inspiration like the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, sculpted by water, wind, earthquakes, and glaciers over the millennia. Nature gave this gift to all of us, and Nirvana Sukdeo hopes to do her small part in lighting the way for the future.
I'm able to experience this, to go back home and to share it with all my peers, with the community and the youth, because it's extremely important and it's just unimaginable to me. It's great.
Stay with us. Our national park travels take us to the crown of the continent, Glacier National Park, when we return. Glacier National Park. This magnificent vista rises near the Montana-Canadian border and is called the crown of the continent. Its higher elevations are draped in white year-round, to the delight of Nirvana Sugdeo.
So Nirvana,
Yes.
snow.
Yes, I know.
I know you've seen it before, but have you ever touched it? You make your first snowball.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna throw it at Michael. You ready?
Oh yeah. You have to get us on camera though.
1, 2, 3.
Snow-capped peaks, glacier-fed lakes, a portrait of nature refined, drawn, shaped over millennia. Mountain goats call it home. So do the bighorn sheep, which hike the high ground with the kind of effortless ease humans trudging up mountainsides can only marvel at. It is the perfect place for children to have big dreams about the earth around them. Nirvana met Nina and Chris Miller from Dallas.
So I'm here doing a documentary where I can go back in South Florida and teach the youth and all the people in South Florida and around Florida why it's important to save the environment and do simple things like recycling and not littering and things like that.
We started a program at our school, recycling.
Great.
And those people, we have like groups.
Young people reflecting on the world they inherit and the things big and small that shape its future, be it the mountain peaks or the wildflower fields that painted this park's valleys and attracted Nirvana and our guide, Heather Harrison.
It's the grandeur of it all. You really are so away from the big cities and from being crowded with a lot of people. It kind of gives you that experience of what it must have been like to first see this land. But to take somebody from a city who's never even walked on snow, you're just blowing them out of their comfort zone to some ways. And then watching them challenge and grow, it makes all the difference in the world.
The little things make up the whole experience, the whole scenery, and without the little flowers or the little bugs or butterflies, you won't be able to really feel the whole, wow, this is amazing, this is great.
Lose yourself in nature and find peace, wrote Ralph Waldo Emerson. In her own way and her own words, Nirvana captures that sentiment, but her generation, future generations, may find that peace harder and harder to come by. They may find that rather than losing themselves in nature, nature itself is lost. We met Carolyn Beecher at Glacier National Park. She's been a wildlife guide for decades here. Enough time, she says, to notice that the climate seems to be having sharper swings.
Well, we're having more frequent forest fires. You can see this was the burn of 2003 behind us.
250,000 acres burned in that fire. There are other signs too. This is Avalanche Creek. 3 years ago, in late summer, it dried up for the first time in memory, a result of disappearing snowfields and glacial runoff. Park historians and scientists note that in 1850, 150 glaciers, like the one you see here, were present. Only 26 remain now.
The glaciers create the reservoir of water. We are here at the headwaters on both sides of the nation for the entire watershed that feeds our continent.
Glaciers temper the climate as well. Without them, that may change, subtly or not, permanently or not, no one yet knows. Will there come a day when Glacier National Park has no glaciers?
In fact, they're predicting that in 10 years, the year 2020, there will no longer be glaciers in Glacier National Park.
There is a saying that everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but not their own set of facts. And the fact is, the glaciers and the snowfields at Glacier National Park are disappearing, be it because of nature's own timing, because of man-made pollution, or because of a combination of both. And the likelihood is that our children and grandchildren will never have a chance to enjoy the full beauty of this magnificent place.
People also need to realize that a lot of this is a natural process. The bottom line is, though, that we're accelerating that process in an unnatural way. You know what? There was an ice age at one time, and glaciers were melting and things were going away long before humans had an effect with fossil fuels. But that doesn't allow us, it doesn't permit us to accelerate a process and make an unnatural thing happen. And that's what we're doing.
There are those who say no amount of abuse we heap upon it will permanently change our planet. It is a place formed billions of years before humans walked its lands or swam its seas, a place that will endure long after we are gone. But as one guide told me, caring for our environment is not about saving the planet. It's about saving us fragile human beings who need this one place we call home, this place that also illuminates and inspires our lives.
Not only have I gained an additional amount of appreciation for the magical earth and environment we breathe, but also a treasurable passion to protect and preserve nature's treasures here in America and all around the world. And witnessing the jewels Grand Teton, Yellowstone, and Glacier National Parks has to offer motivates me even more. Hopefully, you have been touched by America's treasures the same way I have, for this is the time to start.
When we return, closing thoughts from Dreams of the American West. At the north entrance to Yellowstone National Park, a stone marker reads, "For the benefit and enjoyment of the people, a noble purpose in the heart of an ageless treasure."
I saw a saying recently, and it really kind of moved me because it makes a lot of sense. And it says, "The earth has wonderful music for those who listen." And I think our job is not to tell people to listen, it's to inspire them to listen.
Inspiration enough, one hopes, so that all generations to come can live their dreams of the American West. Thanks for joining us, and good evening.